everybody. Joining me on the CCHA show is Dennis Williams, Bowling Green head coach in his first season. But Coach, first I want to welcome you to the show for the first time and to the CCHA as well.
Yeah, thanks, Perry. Excited to be back.
Dennis is a 2001 grad of Bowling Green. He's had some experience coaching at a number of levels, and we'll get into that in just a second. But what was I know you were coaching in the Western Hockey League for a number of years at Everett. What was the deciding factor that made you want to come back into college hockey?
Well, I think to come back into college hockey was one thing, but to be able to come back to Bowling Green was my family and I's main reason was that, and it's been so good to me personally, the university, the community, from my experience here as a player to a grad student to a graduate assistant coach, interim head coach. Everything I've had my time here has been such a positive influence, I think, to my career and to how I've been able to navigate this world of coaching. So when this opportunity came forth, talking to my wife Holly and our kids, and we also know it's an unbelievable place to raise a family and bring our kids through. So again, when the opportunity came, it was a no-brainer from my end, and obviously my wife and kids were on board. So we're really excited to be able to come back to Bowling Green.
I've had the chance to make one trip out there for a series a couple of years ago. And the slate is great. It was even an off night. It was a holiday kind of one of those weekends, but there's still at least 3/4 full when there's no students on campus, which is a big deal. I want to go back to your playing days here with the Falcons. What was that experience like for you, and how did that lead you down the path of coaching, do you think?
I probably found out I wasn't going to be a player, so the next best thing is to coach, right? So I look back at my time here and I learned so much, and reflecting back to I was at best a third line player, fourth line player, every part of my time. And I think what it was really helped me do in my coaching is to be able to adapt and understand everybody's role. You come out of junior hockey with X amount of goals and you think you're coming in as a power play guy. And I remember Buddy telling me, and Wayne Wilson and Brian Hills, you're going to really kill her, kind of like, I don't really kill hockey. And but I had to learn. And the one thing I will say is my experience of the coaches I had here were so positive, and they held us accountable, and they taught me to not only be a better hockey player, but a better person. And to me, being able to learn from that and obviously bring it into the coaching side of things, I didn't realize even when I got here, I wanted to be a coach. To be honest, I just saw our staff always working out with gray sweats on, riding the bike. I was like, oh, that looks like a pretty good job, and I thought I could ride the bike and do that. And there's obviously a lot more to it, as naive then when I was watching that. But, I just thought when I got done playing that I want to stay in the game of hockey, and the next best thing was coaching. And I didn't know what type of career I would have or what would be in front of me, but I'm sure glad I was given the opportunity to come back as a grad assistant, complete my master's degree under Scott Pollock, who was coaching at the time, and then was able to navigate through college and on a major junior, and now back.
Very cool. I want to briefly ask you about your year at Utica, because I know that's a hockey hotbed for people who don't know. Were they filling that arena back then when you were coaching there?
Yeah, so like the head coach Gary Heenan, he's been there since the start of the program. It was the best place for me to go to learn. He taught me so much. Not only is he a great coach, he's one of my best friends, out there still to this day. He's the godparent to my youngest daughter, often, and we talk, weekly. And his program, what he's able to do there, it's unbelievable, and he deserves it all. He deserves the credit because he puts in the time, effort. He's finding sponsorships. He does, he does everything. And not only that, he puts out an unbelievable product on the ice on top of that. So kudos to Gary Heenan and the Pioneers. They've had that going for a long time. And that was back when it was even before I got there, he had it going, but he's done an unbelievable job. And it was a great experience. I coached D there. I never played D in my life. I remember I was running the back end and we were playing in Oswego State. I had no clue what to do. And probably that year, those D-men I coached should probably go back and get a refund, because I don't know if I taught them much, that year. But from a development standpoint, it was definitely the best spot I could have gone to get me ready for the life of coaching.
Very cool. Oswego, another power out in Division III hockey out there on the East Coast. All right. Well, let's get back to today. You guys had a great weekend this weekend. Headed out to Mercyhurst, a couple of wins, 2-1, and then 5-4 in overtime. You guys went 2 for 7 on the power play. It's your first 2-0 start for Bowling Green, and the COVID year you did, but you played Adrian a couple times. So first 2-0 start for Bowling Green since 18-19, and that team finished pretty well. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but what did you like about your team's effort and determination, especially the comeback on Saturday?
Yeah, huge credit to that group. They showed resiliency. We didn't break. Being down 3-1 going to the third, especially on their homecoming weekend, we battled back. And I'm between the second and third. I brought in our captains and spoke to the 2 captains, Ethan Scardina and Ryan O'Hara, and explained to them it's no longer an X's and O's. It's about getting to the inside. We had a really good second period too, off it, but we just weren't getting to those pucks. And they went in and talked to the guys, and they came out flying. So the credit goes to those guys in that locker room that was able to turn around and the swings of that third, tying it up 3-3, going down 4-3, tying it up 4-4, and obviously winning in overtime. I don't think it could be a better script in terms of how we had to win that game. I think it will pay dividends moving forward for our group, and showing the adversity we faced. I was very proud of that. And, again, we're just trying to get better each game, every week. And as I said to them today, the last weekend's done. We got to get reset and get refocused for a game Thursday.
You guys, really 2 different games. Game 1, there was no goals after, and like halfway through the second period there. And Cole Moore, who's your sophomore there, was pretty close to being on the all-rookie team last year as far as goaltending goes. 32 saves for him. Is that the kind of style you like to play, or the 2-1 type of game, or do you like to get in these high scores? Obviously, coaches don't like to give up goals, but yeah. If you had to choose between the 2, which win were you more satisfied with? I guess I can say.
I definitely think on Friday, we had 8 minor penalties. Your best penalty killer has got to be your goalie, and your best penalty killer on the ice was Cole Moore. I thought in that game there, he did an unbelievable job and did what we know he could do, was keep us in a game and win us a game, and both goalies played really well on both sides of the puck. 2-1 games, I don't mind. You'll never critique a win, off it. If you ask what game I'd like better, I like 5-1 wins, but we know that's not going to happen, especially with the parity and the depth of college hockey. And then when you go into the Saturday game, I'm sure like anything, Morsey Cole would probably want a goal back or something. That's how goalies are driven and wired. But I thought we had to win 2 different ways. And I think that's kind of a real good opportunity, a real good reflection of our group that shows that we can win a tight game. Both games were tight, 2-1 and 5-4, but, be able to lock it down for the last, half of a game and not really give up a lot of opportunities. I thought too, like on our Saturday night, our power play scored a timely goal for us. It's not about going 2 for 3 on a power play. I always say it's about scoring at the right time when we needed it. On Friday night, we had a power play with 4 or 5 minutes left that could have gave us separation 3-1, and we didn't score. So Saturday we were able to get that goal when we need it. But there's just so much in your first weekend we're trying to take in. We're trying to build off it, and obviously we have a lot of positives, to build off of, and some areas that we need to continue to work at.
Brody Waters was one of the top freshmen in the league last year, and he came up with a 3-point weekend for you. And then the forward of the week in the CCHA this year is Brett Foe, who had 9 goals last year, 2 on the weekend, including the game winner in overtime. What do those guys have you seen? Obviously, you weren't here last year to see their production and their play last year, but just even working with them now, do they have a level of confidence that they've gained and in bringing into this year, you think?
Yeah, I definitely do. You can see, the one thing we really teach here, Perry, is we focus on is your play without the puck, and then offensively they have to have instincts to play. We can't make them robots, and, we do have structure and we want to play with certain predictability so we can play with pace on the ice. But at the same time, you got to let players make plays. So that overtime goal by Foe it's not something we drew up or I drew up. It was him making a play, and that's what a a player of his skill and ability can do. Brody Waters being able to find the soft ice on the power play on that timely goal we needed from Ryan O'Hara. We work on that, but at the same time, when the game's being played, like it's all instincts. It's being able to perform. We call it on demand performance. Are you able to perform on demand at that time of the game? And as coaches, we can sit there and critique a shift after, but we're not playing it. Pucks are bouncing, you're getting pressured all over the ice. So both those guys have had a really good, start to the fall in terms of practice, preparation, coming in stronger, confident. And I think that showed in their game this past weekend.
In listening and reading some of the stuff about your team, some has been made early in the season about not having your true top scoring line. But do you feel like you have the depth to be able to get the goals that you've obviously gotten goals? You've got, you scored 7, but do you feel like the depth of this team is going to be a strength as far as offensively, you think?
Yeah, I definitely think we need to score by committee, right now. And also it's going to take some time to get some lines going, some chemistry going. We shuffled up the lines from Friday to Saturday in terms of, we kept the same lineup up front, but we moved guys around a little bit more off that. And I just think it's an old, your offense is like a cat, comes close, but your defense has to be like a dog. It's loyal and it's there every night. And that's one thing we preach to our guys. If we never set goals here on points, goal totals, anything, it's all about, let's do the details and habits right. And that'll be a byproduct of being able to play in the offensive zone. When you're in the offensive zone, hey, let's be creative. Let's score goals. But I do think we need to continue to be more of a shot volume team, getting to the inside and being able to roll 4 lines when we have our lineup going. Friday night, I think our lines were like somewhere around 6 minutes to 6:50 per line of 5-on-5 time. There was a lot of penalties, but it was really even. And that allowed us to keep guys fresh and keep them on the forecheck. So right now it's probably by committee, but I feel good that every line can contribute, but even more so be really responsible on the defensive side.
You guys have your equipment manager, Scott Jess, or Scooter, 29 years, with the program. The Diamond Cutter celebration, I think, is newer than maybe your playing days, but how cool is that to get on the first weekend? I know it pumps the guys up, and it's great for your fans as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how that works. I saw it a few years ago, out west when I saw it circulating. Some of the guys texted over to me, and it's obviously excitement. Anytime, what I've learned quickly, in watching games, it's hard to win 2 games on a weekend. And it's even harder on the road, off it. And to cap it off with Scooter going in there and seeing the guys. We practice all week for that 3 minutes, after I always tell them, so that, you have that win song, you have the camaraderie of the group, and then you got to get reset. And for us to cap off that weekend, you could definitely see probably on social media how excited they are to call Scoot in. And obviously he's been a huge factor in BGSU hockey for a long time. He was my equipment guy when I played.
Yeah, right.
So now, having that full go around as a player and all those years working with him and being back, he's one of the best in the game, and we're really lucky to have him.
So now you get your home opener coming up here. Then you have an exhibition game on Sunday as well for you guys. So this is your first your first home game. I'm sure it's going to be rocking at the slate there on Thursday night. You're kind of the only show in town as far as college hockey. That's a little bit fun to be too. With a lot of eyes on you. But then you have Simon Fraser on Sunday. What are you looking to get out of this week here?
Yeah, so these next 2 are exhibition games for us. So we're looking to really get some different looks, some different involvement, different enrollment, like moving guys around. We have a kind of a different schedule because we go Thursday, Sunday, Thursday. So It's not your typical Friday, Saturday, Sunday off prep work, right? So there'll be some balance there for us. Really exciting to get everybody going, and getting everybody in the lineup, off it. So it's going to be another, good 8-9 days of preparation. Obviously we go into exhibition games and we still want to win them. I always say it doesn't matter if I'm sitting around on Christmas Eve. I still want to win the game of euchre or whatever I'm playing at the house or Monopoly. I don't go out there to lose, and this is no different. So we're gonna prep like we do any other time. We're gonna put our best foot forward, and we want to continue to build off of what we had this past weekend.
All right, great. Well, Dennis, thanks for taking a few minutes today to talk some BG hockey, and a perfect start, at least record-wise, 2-0 are the Falcons heading into a home weekend. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks, Barry.